Welcome into New York Knicks Now right here on Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Sr. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I hope all Knicks fans out there are having a great week in the great city of New York and beyond, because we know Knicks fans are all across the globe. Coming up on today's show, this is what we're getting into. Did Reggie Bullock throw some shade at his former team during his press conference with the Dallas Mavericks? Let's explore it a little bit. So, in NBA free agency, Reggie Bullock left New York, signed with the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year, $30 million contract. I actually really like that deal with the Dallas Mavericks. I thought I'd rather pay Reggie Bullock $30 million than the likes of Alec Burks. I understand that Burks gives you a little bit more from a creation standpoint. He can break it down off the dribble and get buckets at a better clip than Reggie Bullock. But as a floor spacer, as a 3-and-D guy who has some swagger, has a nice corner three, really like his defensive potential, I liked him going to the Mavericks to team up with Luka Doncic. But over the weekend, he said, quote, "It was a no-brainer to sign with the Dallas Mavericks because he sees the Mavs with Luka as a team that's ready to take that next step, not the New York Knicks." As for what Bullock had to say about that, here it is exactly. When I played against the Mavericks last year, I liked the way that they competed as a team. They got great players, so it was an easy, no-brainer decision for me. Being with the Knicks last year, we made it to the playoffs, but I see the Mavericks as a team that's taking that next step to be in the postseason. Interesting stuff from Bullock there, and I actually tend to disagree with him. Of course, the Mavericks are the more top-heavy team. They have the best player in Luka Doncic, but can you make the argument that the Knicks have the deeper roster than the Dallas Mavericks? We'll get into that here in just a moment. But before we do that, what's your one-word reaction to what Bullock had to say? Stiff, fraud, false, get him out of here, whatever you want to say in the comment section. I know Knicks fans are probably fired up by this. Do that and sound off in the comment section right now. As for what Bullock did with the Knicks last year, I thought he was a really good player and a good component to Tom Thibodeau's first season in New York City. Played a critical role as a guy who could play a lot of defense, lock down some of the opposition's best offensive players, and knock down some really, really timely threes. Had a good season. I thought it was the best season of his career. A little shy of 11 points per game. He's an okay rebounder. Really, he's a catch-and-shoot guy who's primarily going to float around the perimeter, give you a lot of energy as both a starter and a bench player. Since coming into the league out of North Carolina, he's had a pretty solid career, but I thought last year he really burst onto the scene, and that's a big reason why he was able to secure the bag and get around $10 million in average annual value. Let's take a look at both the Knicks lineup as well as the Mavericks lineup and compare these two teams, rosters top to bottom, to see if what Bullock had to say can be justified. Let's first start off with the New York Knicks. I really like what they did in NBA free agency because I've said this a couple of times, but they had a plan A. They wanted to go star hunting after players like Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry, but as soon as CP3 went back to Phoenix and then Kyle Lowry was sent to South Beach in Miami to team up with his good buddy and Jimmy Butler, they wanted to go after those stars, but then they kind of rerouted a little bit, and they had a plan B. And for Leon Rose, I thought that was a very smart approach to the offseason because bad businesses don't have a backup plan. Quality businesses do have a plan B, and that's what the Knicks had. Their starting lineup, I kind of like it going into this season. Kemba Walker is due for a bounce-back year. He's from the Bronx. He had that unbelievable Big East tournament when he ended up winning the NCAA tournament after he was just shaking cats and dropping buckets with UConn at MSG. He gets to go back to his home city. He grew up in the Bronx. Can he come back off of those knee injuries that have kind of hindered him the last couple of seasons? We'll see. If that happens, Knicks in a good spot at the point guard position. Evan Fournier, I thought it was a little bit of an overpay, but he improved his stock in the Olympics with France and was pretty up and down. Had a little bit of a COVID scare with the Boston Celtics last year after being that NBA trade deadline acquisition, but he's a really good scorer, averaged 17 per last year. RJ Barrett took a monster step from his freshman campaign to his sophomore season, averaged 17.5 points per game last year, shot around 40% from distance. Can he take another step in his third season? I think R.J. Barrett can be a legitimate number 2 or number 3 option on a team with championship aspirations, and I think that growth is only going to continue because R.J. Barrett has been growing at a steady rate in his first 2 years in the NBA. Then you have Julius Randle, most improved player last year, an MVP candidate coming down the stretch. I think he's very, very good. Is he worth the money? We will see, and only time will tell, but Julius Randle kind of epitomizes what New York City wants in its basketball players. And then Mitchell Robinson. I thought he was really missed in the playoffs last year, especially at multiple times in that series against the Atlanta Hawks with that knee injury that he had. This is a high-flying, rim-running, shot-blocking big who can also throw down some dunks on some pick and rolls. And as far as the bench, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley, Miles McBride, Taj Gibson, Nerlens Noel, Obi Toppin. This is a very, very deep Knicks team that I think Tibbs has a lot of positional versatility with. From the Knicks to the Mavericks, let's take a look at their team that they're going to be trotting out under head coach Jason Kidd, with Nico Harrison taking over general managing duties. Luka Doncic, his first 3 years have really compared almost eerily similar to LeBron James's first 3 years. I think he too could take another step and maybe average around 30 points per game this upcoming season. But after that, I don't really like how the starting lineup rounds out as compared to the New York Knicks. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., that was a good free agent acquisition to re-sign him. He's a very good shooter. Dorian Finney-Smith is a solid player. Maxi Kleber is solid as well. Kristaps Porzingis, Knicks fans know all about him. I don't think they're missing him much at all. It has turned out that Tim Hardaway has been the headliner of that deal that included Kristaps Porzingis. He's been maddeningly inconsistent, very, very frustrating, and hasn't really lived up to that massive contract that he signed. And to me, at this point of his career, he's really just okay. He's somewhat brittle. He's not a great culture fit, and he's so up and down. That's a big reason why he has become so frustrating. And then on the Mavericks bench, I like Jalen Brunson. Trey Burke is really just okay. They haven't gotten much from Green. You got Bullock coming in off the bench. Boban Marjanovic re-signs with the Mavericks in free agency. He's a quality backup center. But the main argument that I'm making here is the opposite of what Bullock had to say during that press conference. It's this. Maybe the Knicks don't have the star power of the Dallas Mavericks because the Mavericks are headlined by Luka Doncic, who's a top 5 player in the NBA, in my opinion. But the Knicks are, in my opinion, the deeper team than the Dallas Mavericks. Who do you think has the better roster? I let my opinion be known. Let your opinion be known in the comment section down below. Type NYK for the Knicks, DAL for the Mavericks. Get those votes in down below. And before I get out of here, Knicks fans, this is your one-stop shop for all of the best Knicks news, rumors, coverage year-round on your New York Knicks. So help get us to 2,000 subscribers. This is a brand new channel. In fact, it's the fastest growing Knicks channel right here on YouTube. Be part of the family. YouTube.com/KnicksTV or smash that red subscribe button.